Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, August 4, 2023. Government will be undertaking a massive overhaul of the Program of Advancement through Health and Education path to ensure more Jamaicans can benefit from the initiative. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement during a press briefing at Jamaica House yesterday. PATH is a social safety net program which provides conditional cash grants to vulnerable households within the population. The most significant change will involve making the beneficiary identification system far more targeted, as many people complain that they cannot gain access despite living in dire circumstances.
There is clearly a refining that needs to happen in the entire beneficiary identification system for PATH. So that will be addressed to ensure that we are picking up those persons in our society who are genuinely in need of that social safety net support.
The Prime Minister says this is among measures being explored to offset the impact of inflationary spikes that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic and continue to affect people's purchasing power. Immediately following the pandemic, there was a rapid increase in prices driven by global supply chain shocks and geopolitical issues. In Jamaica, inflation went as high as 11.8%, but is now down to about 6.2%. Mr. Holness says that while Jamaica has outperformed many other countries in rebounding from the pandemic, the government recognizes that this is still not being felt by many in the society.
The truth is that inflation has a lagging impact on people's outlook, because it takes some time for wages to catch up, to put you back in a position where your consumption that you were used to is restored.
Prime Minister Holness remarked that the recent increases in minimum wage and pension payments, as well as the public sector compensation review exercise, were other examples of government's response to the issue. Meanwhile, government will shortly be announcing additional support for back-to-school activities across the island. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says this is another measure designed to address the erosion in people's spending power, as well as the learning slide coming out of the pandemic.
We will also ensure that our schools, that the resources that they need to get back up very quickly, that those resources are upfront in the budget. And you will hear more about other programs, more targeted programs, to ensure that those persons who are going to be doing PEP, for example, that they are particularly supported.
Minister of Finance Dr. Nigel Clark recently announced that the government was providing $3 million per constituency to support back-to-school initiatives. The money will be made available through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF.
What was announced by the Minister of Finance specifically for back-to-school through the CDF program is part of a general program. There are other initiatives that we will announce in the coming days, which will see employment for persons who are presently unemployed, particularly in ensuring that in the independence period and so forth, that we have cleaning up programs going on.
The new academic year begins on September 4, 2023. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is asserting that government intends to fulfill the constitutional requirements regarding the local government elections. The elections, which were last held in November 2016, were postponed for a further 12 months in February and are slated to be held no later than February 28, 2024.
If there is need, if something happens, if there is an exogenous shock or weather event, then certainly that has to be considered. But as it is now, it is the intention of the government to fulfill its constitutional duties.
Mr. Holness was responding to a question during Thursday's press conference at the office of the Prime Minister. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie has previously said the postponement of the election is to allow for the continuation of Jamaica's post-COVID-19 economic recovery and to provide additional time to conclude consultations regarding Portmore becoming Jamaica's 15th parish. 42 farm workers left the island for Canada yesterday to take up employment opportunities in Ontario and Nova Scotia. The customary send-off ceremony was held for the workers at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security's Overseas Employment Services Centre in downtown Kingston. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. reminded the workers that they are ambassadors of the country when they go overseas and to act accordingly. He says the ministry has provided the workers with a document informing them of their rights. The Overseas Employment Program, administered by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, facilitates the selection and recruitment of workers who participate in programs in the United States and Canada. The program provides employment for Jamaican workers in various fields, including the agricultural and hospitality industries. Recreational drone operators are being advised not to fly their devices in the vicinity of the National Stadium during this Sunday's Independence Day Grand Gala show. The Grand Gala, which is scheduled to begin at 6 p.m., will feature about 300 drones forming images above the stadium. Executive Director of the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, JCDC, Lenford Salmon, says the flying of drones near the venue, other than those designated for the event, can potentially impede the display. He adds that it poses a danger for everyone, including recreational device operators.
We're really appealing to private drone operators. It is, in fact, illegal to send up a drone without the requisite approvals from the Civil Aviation Authority. And we don't want to, because we can, in fact, force the drones down, but we don't want to get to that.
Mr. Salmon was speaking during a recent JIS think tank session. And finally, traffic along a section of the Harbourview Main Road in St. Andrew will be curtailed this weekend in the vicinity of the Shooters Hill community. Communication and Customer Services Manager at the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw, says approximately 400 meters of the corridor will be reduced to single-lane traffic. The restriction starts on Saturday, August 5 and will be in effect until Monday, August 7. Mr. Shaw says the reduction in the available lanes for commuting is being done to facilitate the building out of a section of the new embankment to form part of the new 4-lane corridor. The section of road is also being encumbered by several JPS poles. Heavy equipment, therefore, cannot easily maneuver in the space. The NWA says reducing the corridor to single-lane traffic is therefore necessary for the safety of commuters and workers on the site. The works form part of the ongoing Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Program. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.